Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome, everyone, to the Gaming Podcast Live. And it's a sad day. It's the last episode of the Gaming Podcast Live for a few months. We need a lie down in a dark room somewhere because it's been a few months of streaming. But look, as a complete beginner, I've really enjoyed myself doing this. Yeah, this is going to be a fun episode. We've got some fantastic guests to come. And in the meantime, I'd love to introduce my favorite person in the world. It's the lovely Mia.
Your favorite person in the world? What?
On a Sunday evening.
On a Sunday evening. Well, it's a Monday now, so I guess
I'm shit, yeah, it's a Monday evening, isn't it? Yeah.
Hi, Robin. How you doing, hon?
I'm good. I'm very good. I will freely admit to the fact that I am a little delicate, as I had a weekend of excesses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I having gone from a pandemic of not going out for 18 months, I went out twice in 2 nights. And
that sounds like it was fun. Maybe
it was good fun.
Yeah, maybe you could tell us more about that in the weekly recap, or would you like to share now? I'd love to hear about
it was literally just seeing some friends. Like,
okay,
there's nothing. Unfortunately, there's nothing gaming related. Unfortunately, there.
It was just our recaps don't have to be gaming related.
There was just some good Korean barbecue last night.
Oh, that sounds delicious. I want some.
It was superb. Superb. Anyway, go on.
I was just gonna say I've missed going out so much, and I'm glad that it's kind of coming back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do the sort of like the good Samaritan sort of thing, and the good responsible citizen of doing a couple of rapid tests over the next couple of days just to make sure everything's all gravy, or not gravy, I suppose, as the case may be.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's all we can do at the moment. But anyway, shouldn't be focused on that. We should be focused on
happy times.
Our wonderful last live podcast. And just as a reminder, for those of you who are joining us live, as this is recorded live, you can interact with the podcast both here in Twitch chat and the special dedicated section over in the Gaming Magazine Discord. For those of you in chat, just hit up gamingmag.com/Discord and join us over there. We'd love to have you there. Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh God, there's a spider. You gone? Sorry, massive spider. Yes, and I just said it's obviously our last podcast for a while. It's also the last couple of days of DIGIPRIDE, our 3-month-long excellent thing that we've been running all summer, celebrating the wonderness of queer gaming. You can head over to gamingmag.com/DIGIPRIDE and find out what you've missed. To find out how you can catch up on stuff. All the panels that we've done, all the fun things exist somewhere in the world, be there on Gaming website or on Gaming's YouTube or here on Twitch or anywhere else. And you also, if you're watching the stream, if you're listening to the audio, because you'll be too late by then, but if you're watching the stream, get your ass over to gamingmag.com/competitions, because you have about 24 hours left to enter our competitions. Some fantastic ones up for grabs. If you live in the UK and Ireland, we have an Xbox Series S and the fantastic Rainbow Pride controller up for grabs, with a couple of other bits and bobs of merch, which Mia can't find. There you go.
I don't have over the box over there. Otherwise, yeah, you can see the old podcast for it.
Yes, it's fine.
The website. There's a picture.
See it's a picture on the website. Exactly. Yeah. There's a fantastic competition on there from the lovely KeyWe, who we're going to be talking about on this episode. And there's also, if you're anywhere globally in the world, there's a fantastic Sega competition to enter, which includes a Steam code for the entire Sega library. That is 760 odd games that are available to one lucky winner. So head on over, gamemag.com/competitions.
I still can't believe that's a thing. Like,
yeah.
Every single Sega game.
Literally, like Yakuza, everything. Literally anything they've done, or anything they've published.
Anything that's on Steam, anyway, because I know there's probably some games.
Fair point. Yeah, you're not going to be able to pick up a Sonic that you can play on the Mega Drive. Cool. I think that's all our little catch-ups.
Yeah, and I guess that will lead us on directly to our wonderful first guest, which is the amazing... I hope I'm saying this correctly. Bridie Daniels from Sold Out Games.
Hi.
Hey, Bridie.
Hi. Perfect pronunciation.
I almost had a heart attack, so I just realized I'd never actually said it out loud before, and it's like, oh God, don't want to mess this up. Okay.
Yeah,
did good.
we got caught out on the last one, didn't we? Not the last one, the one previous ones where you'd raided in, and we had a guest with a slightly trickier name to pronounce, and I forgot the fact we hadn't done that, and that you're doing the intro, and I was just sort of like sitting there going in my head.
I got it right.
You did. You did get it right.
Fine.
You did. Anyway, Bridie, welcome to the Gaming Podcast Live.
Yeah, how are you today?
Really good, thank you. Happy to be here.
Good.
Excellent.
Glad to have you here.
So tell us what it is you do at Sold Out.
So I'm a digital marketing consultant for Sold Out, which is a huge mishmash of things, really. No 2 days kind of look the same for me. There's a big, heavy community management element. There's a lot of influencer outreach. I do things like helping sort of formulate press releases and just lots of like forward-facing, outward-facing stuff for the company. It's a ton of fun. I'm really enjoying it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I really love just looking at the list of the games you publish. I actually noticed that there's a couple of the games, I think my time at Porsche and Wargroove, that I actually have like friends who VA in there. So I'm like, oh my God, this is great. We actually get to talk to Sold Out. And I know for a fact that they are LGBTQ. So it's always wonderful to see that too. How does Sold Out support its LGBTQ employees?
So I wouldn't want to speak to anybody anybody else's experience except my own, but honestly, they're just super accepting. They let me be my pansexual self. They let me give input with regards to like the LGBT community in almost every aspect of what I do. Obviously, I can't speak for every single member of the community, but they are super forthcoming and understanding. If I say to them, for example, you need to get a consultant of a certain sexuality, or you need to get a consultant with experience in this area, you need to get like a minority consultant, or like a person of color or somebody like that who isn't me. And they're so on board. They take it on board right away. They're more than happy to defer. I feel like some companies maybe have like a member of the LGBT community working for them and they use them as their consultant for everybody's issues, and that's definitely not on. But Sold Out don't do that. They're amazing and they listen, which is wonderful.
That's really awesome. I mean, we've done a lot of work with Sold Out, obviously, over the past couple of years, sponsoring last year's DigiPride, this year's DigiPride, and the Gaming Awards in between as well. So it's a real testament, I think, to Sold Out and their support of us and support the LGBT community. And it's great to see that you're having that sort of experience inside as well. Obviously, you're here today to talk about the adorable KeyWe game. We've covered it a few times on Gaming, and earlier this month, maybe even late July, the wonderful Evilicious streamed a preview play of the game. And for those of us who don't know much about it, can you describe that to us?
I can indeed. KeyWe is a really wholesome game. It's we describe it as cute and chaotic. It's we call it a postal puzzle adventure. You basically play as two adorable little Kiwi birds called Jeff and Deborah, and they are working in a fictional post office set in a fictional place called Bungalow Basin. And while they're in the telepost office, they kind of have to navigate levers, buttons, and bells, all sorts of things that aren't necessarily Kiwi sized, in order to kind of get those messages sent on time. The post must go on, kind of thing. And there's a whole host of other sort of like fun characters that they kind of get to interact with, like Zoe, who is she works in the drop-off depot, and she is an octopus. I think she's a giant Pacific octopus. There's also the cassowary couriers on screen now is Buck. He's the telepost manager kind of thing. There's one of the cassowaries dressed up for Halloween. So yeah, it's a ton of fun. I think everyone's going to really like it, and you get to dress them up. What's not to love?
Yeah, I was looking at that trailer actually earlier, and for some of the days leading up to DigiPride as well, because I was trying to check it out. It is obviously an adorable game. What is your favorite part of the game? Like, what really sells it for you?
Well, one of my favorite levels is the shipping floor level. I just think it's a really like creative, and also it appeals to my type A personality a little bit, because there's a lot of small moving parts to organize, which I really enjoy. And I also enjoy the fact that you get to dress your Kiwis up. And we're actually we've just sort of launched within the game a pride themed skin. It's called the prismatic plumage for the Kiwis. So you can get rainbow colored Kiwis now to show your pride in game, which is awesome. And that's going to be available. It's not an unlockable. You'll have it the minute you get into the game, which I think is great.
That's dope.
That's awesome. And they stay all year round as well.
Yeah, that skin is in the game to stay now, which is wonderful.
Brilliant. And when can people get their hands on these birds and this excitement?
Well, this is the good news. If you want to play KeyWe on Nintendo Switch or PC, the Steam version, that is going to be available tomorrow, actually. And then KeyWe's coming to Xbox and PlayStation a little bit later on, and we'll have more details of a specific date on that available for you soon.
Oh,
Wonderful.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's just to clarify, like it's fully, you can fully customize the bird in the game, can't you? In terms of like
they've got they've got face wear, back wear, they've got cute little backpacks, different skins. You can also change the I don't know if KeyWes have feathers. This is a point of contention that has come up time and time again within these discussions. Is it feathers? Is it fuzz? But you can definitely make your KeyWes fluffier if you want to, which is always a bonus. But yeah, there's loads of different ways to dress them up, and there are things that you can unlock in game with stamps that you earn in game for completing shifts at the telepost, which is fun.
That's absolutely dope. I'm looking forward to getting the rainbow KeyWes and taking them on a little adventure. Kirsty, thank you so much. Kirsty,
Bridie,
that's
the next one.
Not yet.
Bridie, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time to talk to us about KeyWe and sold out games. It's been great having you.
Thank you
It's
very
not my
much.
fault. It said it in the thing.
Was that my fault?
That was
Oh
your
shoot! Yeah,
That was your
that's my
fault.
fault. Sorry.
The finger of
Okay,
shame is
thank you so
pointing.
much. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's swinging. It's definitely swinging in my direction.
I don't mess up.
Good luck
I
with
don't mess up.
Good luck with the good luck with the launch tomorrow. And I hope it all goes well. And I know that people are actually going to fall in love with this game because I have already.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity to speak on the podcast. It means a lot.
Pleasure. Right, have a good evening. Bye.
I can't believe that. You threw it under the bus. God damn.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, badly. I'm afraid I put the wrong name in the script, but keeps you on your toes
Anyway,
for the last episode.
It wouldn't be a gaming magazine podcast if nothing went wrong.
It's fine.
We're continuing how we mean to go on. And speaking of continuing, our next guest returning to the Gaming Magazine podcast is the wonderful, fabulous Psyche.
Hello. You said
Talking
my
of
name
chaos.
and I had a mini panic. Because I was like, I want to take a sip of tea. And I was like, wait, hang on, me? What? Hello, though. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. How are you doing?
I'm good. I am very excited to be here. I really enjoyed our chat last time. It was really, really fun. I've been on a couple of podcasts, but this was definitely my favorite. So it's just nice.
Say that to all the podcasts.
Maybe I do.
Well, it was wonderful having you, and
Thank you.
yeah, would love the conversation that we had last time. So
how are you both doing?
I'm tired. I'm not gonna lie, I am
Fair.
tired. There's been a lot of stuff going on, and yeah, it's been a lot to deal with. But we'll get onto that later, I guess. But maybe we should stick with what we've been doing more recently with this podcast's weekly recap.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah,
What an amazing link.
Straight into that. And all right, Robin, tell me what have you been up to? What have you been up to?
So obviously this is we've been wrapping up over the last couple of weeks. DigiPride, putting a bow on DigiPride. We did a fantastic in the interim from the last time we spoke. We did a fantastic stream of D&D. If anyone remembers the last episode, it was our D&D special. In the interim, there was a fantastic stream done by the wonderful people at Wizards. And they raised a ton of money for mermaids, which is a fantastic charity and a fantastic cause here in the UK and around the world. And we're doing some fantastic other things as well. It's been Gamescom, which has kept us all busy. We've got an exciting rebrand coming for gaming in the next week or so, in about 10 days' time.
I didn't know about this. A rebrand. That sounds exciting.
Yeah, new logo, new mission statement, new a lot of things, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
there are
if you
reasons...
just bought the t-shirt, then that's a bad
well, no one did,
so
one. I thought, fuck it, I'll change the logo. But no, so lots happening on the gaming front. DigiPride might be over, but there's a lot. I promise over the next 6 weeks or so, there is massive things coming. with gaming, and we see it very much as our chapter 2, volume 2, whatever sort of second sort of part of the journey. We've done
Gaming
our
Mag
first couple of years.
2.0.
Yeah, exactly. So that's that. I've been playing a game as well. Can you imagine such a thing?
Wait, you've been playing a game?
Yes, I've actually found some time to
new?
play a game.
Is that
I just-
allowed?
Apparently not, because I haven't touched a game for the last month or so because I've been ridiculously busy. But
Just to clarify, it's not
Yes.
Lego and it's not Borderlands, is it?
no, it's not.
Wow.
Although I will just quickly say that from Gamescom, I was thrilled about the fact they finally put a deadline and a release date, same thing, I suppose, on the new Lego game. I
Nice.
genuinely thought it had died a death and they just swept it under a carpet somewhere. But no, they dug it back out from underneath the carpet. They found it, and they slapped a spring 2022. Which is still vague and still up for a lot of sort of changes. But what can we do? So I'm excited about that, obviously. But no, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh,
I've not played
and
that.
me either. I really want
Yeah.
to, but
superb sort of feudal Japan gameplay, wonderful kind of I think some of the best sword kind of mechanics I've played in a game.
that's
I'm going to say
cool.
ever.
Wow.
Beautiful art styles as well. And it very sort of very Japan-y, that sounds weird, but very kind of like stylized in a kind of Japan kind of way, a Japanese kind of way. And they do some fantastic little things. In like Grand Theft Auto or in Assassin's Creed or whatever, there's always this annoying arrow that shows you where you have to go, or a line on the ground or something that takes you out the experience. They do it with wind and leaves.
Oh, that's cool.
That is interesting.
So you kind of follow where the sort of the leaves are blowing, and that kind of directs you in the next bit.
That's really cool.
The next
That
bit of the
is,
path, which is lovely.
Yeah.
I have no sense of direction, so I need some kind of idea of where I'm supposed to go.
It's odd with games like that, because I know Assassin's Creed got away with it for so long, saying it's like a machine that you're going into and takes you back, so all the heads-up display stuff is kind of like part of that. But like it's interesting to see how they implement those types of things into a more period piece. Speaking of which, what is the narrative like? Because I don't know anything about it. So
it's fighting against the Mongols. You are you play as the young person of the game, and your uncle, who's kind of the leader of everything, gets kidnapped by a Mongol emperor, king. And it's just kind of avenging death and avenging stuff. I haven't played that much of it, which is why I'm sort of fumbling around a little bit. But no, it's literally, it plays into my sort of delight of open world sandboxy kind of games. So and you ride a horse, which is always important in video games. And it literally, to me, is like it's Red Dead, but in feudal Japan.
That's
you know what? I wasn't that sold until you said it's Red Dead in feudal Japan. You know what? That's pretty cool. Yeah,
absolutely. No, and it is genuinely beautiful. And I think when they do, when you enter a new part of the map, or when a new part of the map happens, like the parchment unrolls and the kind of the black ink, the stylized sort of Japanese black ink comes out and draws in the next bit of the map, and it's all just done. Nice. It's really good. And the sort of the Acer leaves blowing around, obviously pointing in the right direction and stuff. It's very wholesome with a lot of stabbing in the meantime as well.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's quite violent too.
Yeah, it's wholesome until you lop someone's head off.
Wholesome, and then you cut someone's head off.
Yeah, and then it's wholesome again. So
yeah, that's fair.
It alternates. What else have I done? Oh, the Spider-Man trailer.
Spider-Man
trailer. People seen the Spider-Man trailer?
I
haven't.
Seen the Spider-Man trailer. You haven't? I don't want to spoil the Spider-Man trailer. Have you seen the?
It's a trailer.
I have. Yes, I haven't seen the trailer for this one, but I've seen the last films. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to spoil the trailer.
Oh god, I have a vague idea of what's happening.
Can I hear your vague idea of what's happening?
Okay, my vague idea. Did they bring all the Spider-Mans back?
Did
that happen?
I cannot confirm nor deny
a
that they bring all
yes.
the spider. No, it's
That
not.
is absolutely
No, it's not.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It's in this one. It really isn't. You do not categorically see any more Spider-Man than just the
There's
one.
only one Spider-Man
Yeah.
in that trailer.
In that trailer.
Did you just say one Spider-Man's? Because that's what it sounded.
Stop being particularly obtuse. But there is other things. Doctor Strange.
Oh, now I have
there.
to watch it as soon as we finish. So I kind of put it off because I accidentally saw what I thought was the new Spider-Man trailer, but turned out to just be a fan-made what we hope is going to happen. And it was very well done, but I was like, oh, this is just fake. So then I put it off, and now everyone's talking about it. And I'm like, I really have to watch this.
We all know for various reasons that the multiverse is now in play.
Yes.
Obviously, from Loki, from the titles of the films coming up, and so it's there. The trailer pretty much tells you kind of what's about to happen, and then does give you a couple of nudges in a certain direction.
Interesting.
There's a lot of questions that it brings.
There is a lot of questions.
Trying to wait to see how that plays out. I'm excited though.
Oh, I'm really excited. I didn't think it was going the way I thought it was going, but when I realized how it happened, I thought it was super clever that it was
honestly. Sorry, I'll let you finish your point. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was just saying, like, the way Tom Holland plays Spider-Man with that kind of like making mistakes and bumbling around a little bit, it fitted perfectly with how whatever's about to happen happens.
Again, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but I will say that my while I was watching it didn't feel real. I don't know if you had a similar experience, Robin, but I was watching this trailer and it felt like it was fake, like in a weird way. It didn't feel like it was a real trailer to me. Like, honestly, this is going to sound weird, but if you've ever had a dream where some weird stuff happens and you have this like feeling,
it's going to be weird.
Yeah. Like, this isn't right. That's what that trailer felt like to me.
Yeah.
I'm
so excited.
Be a real trailer.
Yeah, there were parts of you think about how weird the first Doctor Strange film got on occasion. Slap on a multiverse on top of that and chuck a bit of Spider-Man in the mix, and it goes batshit crazy. And if this is considering the next few films are all kind of very much based around the multiverse, I can only imagine where we're going to be heading.
I mean, Loki, the series was very much setting up for that as well.
Oh, absolutely.
It was great.
Fantastic series, and I think Kevin Feige, before it even started, said it was going to be the most important series. And by the end of it, we all knew why, because it was literally the key to unlocking the next phase of the Marvel universe. Basically,
it was also super weird, but like in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's now sort of strong rumors starting, obviously, about when we see the first mutant, when do we see the first X-Men, when do we see the first, and there are heavy rumors that there might be kind of like surprises being pulled over the next few films as well when you least expect it.
I still feel like it's going to be a while until.
Oh, totally. It needs to die down. It needs to die down. I think the previous iteration of X-Men had got to a certain point where it just wasn't working out for various reasons. And I don't think you can rush that back. I think it'd be idiots if they sort of suddenly went, and here's Professor X.
Like it definitely feels like multiverse is definitely the new arc or whatever, leading to whatever big thing they've got coming. I know they've got Kang is confirmed to be played by is it Jonathan Major? No, I can't remember the name of the actor, unfortunately. But but Kang is supposed to
who did a great job at the end of Loki. So I can only imagine. So I can only imagine. Oh, that's been there are kind of expiry dates on spoilers in my world.
There are.
And it's been out for how long?
Oh, that is true. It's been out for a while, but yeah, some people just don't want to pay for Disney Plus.
It's not like what we're gonna. It's not like Amy and I had to have a chat the other day because we were being complained at quite strongly on Twitter about the fact that we had quite a major spoiler as a social post on gaming 5 days after Suicide Squad came out.
I mean, there's like at least a 2-week grace period. I would say before
there's two. I think 2 weeks for anything, and then a month is my kind of rule for app for being able to freely talk about everything.
I
you've
got
seen in that
spoiled
film.
for it. Okay, so it was a movie that was released in the 90s and I've never seen Seven. Okay, don't shame me. I've never seen it, and I feel like I kind of want to watch it. I don't know. I know a bit about it, but I know the really big twist in that movie because I got spoiled in the weirdest way in an Amazon review. Or no, in an Amazon question about a makeup box, because someone replied with what's in the box, and the answer to that question was what's in the box in the movie, and I was livid because I was like I expect to get spoiled if I go and seek it out, or if someone starts talking about the movie that I haven't seen yet on Twitter or whatever, and I'm like, oh no, don't look. But on an Amazon question about makeup.
Was it Goop products on Amazon? Was it
yes, basically that's it wasn't, but it may as well have been. And I was like, really? And then I went to my partner and I was like, so is that true? Is that like
I just got that.
Twist?
That's clever. Well done. Sorry. that took a while just to sort of percolate through my brain.
I just happened to now know she was in that movie, so yeah.
Speaking of which,
I know what's in the box.
Linking that back to the Marvel universe,
weirdly,
that actually ties directly into what I've been doing this past couple of weeks. I've actually been watching What If. Have you seen it yourselves yet? The new animated show. Okay,
first
so
one really good. Second one okay. Third one a bit crap.
Generally, to explain what it is, though, for people who have not necessarily seen it, it's basically Marvel are taking different elements of their multiverse, all the elements from the MCU, and they've made animated shows like retelling different things that have happened with different changes. So the first episode was what if Peggy Carter had become Captain Britain instead of Steve Rogers. The second, which I actually thought the second one was really cool, was what if T'Challa was abducted and taken into space instead of Peter Quill, so ends up becoming Star-Lord, and how that changes things. And I thought that episode was fantastic. A bit of a weak ending, but that episode in itself.
I've got a really soft spot for Peggy Carter, though. I really enjoyed that Peggy Carter series on ABC they were doing. But before the whole Disney Plus thing, the one they did, and sort of like it was very film noir kind of shot.
The one that isn't technically canon in the Marvel Cinematic.
Well, they just gave up on it so much they didn't even bother. They just lost the plot with it. But
that's a whole other story where it's Kevin Feige didn't technically greenlight those ones. It was like the other head or whatever over there. So he doesn't consider them to be canon. But apparently there's like an Easter egg in the first episode of Loki for that too. So
interesting.
Peggy Carter's randomly in the background of one of the shots of somebody that's dressed almost exactly like Peggy Carter.
I can see where
is at the time variance.
Interesting.
So
clever.
But yeah, and then this third one was if it kind of spoils it, but there's a major change that happens, and it's set during Nick Fury's big week when Iron Man 2, Thor, and the first Hulk film was set, and it's literally like, I don't want to spoil it though, but it's something very different happens.
Well, the title of the title of the episode is what happens? What if all of Earth's mightiest heroes died or something?
Yeah. Okay. Spoilers.
It's the title of the episode. You can go on Disney Plus and look at the title of the episode.
Technically, yes.
That's not a spoiler.
So it's interesting to see where they're going with these stories. And I also used to love like the What If comics back in the day. I used to have I had a compilation, like little book of little different What If stories. And I feel like they're very limited with what they can do, considering it's just the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I definitely want stuff that's more wacky and out there and adventurous. Like, I definitely thought from an animation standpoint and a visual standpoint, episode 2 was like so much more on top than the other ones, because even the animation, it's a little bit lacking. And I don't think that many people are on board with it. It just seems a little bit mid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even episode 2 is...
It's very computer generated. It's not. They could have learned a trick from Star Wars. They could have learned the trick from Star Wars, picking just an overly stylized way of doing it. Whether it's the drawing style, whether it's the color style, whether it's a sort of I don't know what else really, but or just an animation style that they could have done something that just made it a little bit different. But you're right that the animation sort of was fairly middle of the road. I just love the idea. I just love the idea of it. I love the fact that they were able to get back all of the most of the original voice actors.
That's the things. Like there's some key.
There's
ones
the odd
in there
one that's a clanger. Yeah,
who are just not the actors, and it just sticks out like a sore thumb sometimes.
Yeah, because they've wrapped all the other ones around it. Even some of the most obscure ones that they for the some of the real kind of bit parts in the second one with Guardians of the Galaxy, they managed to pull back in like literally everyone that was in it apart from one person, and it does stand out like a sore thumb.
I will say fantastic performance from the late Chadwick Boseman as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wonderful to see, and like such a high note for them to go off on.
That's
onto, considering how the character is portrayed within that particular episode, and very, very touching there. I'm super enjoying it. I'm seeing where it goes so far, and it seems like they want to do like a multiverse Avengers thing maybe with the show from the look of the trailer.
That's interesting.
So we'll see what happens with that. Other than that, I played 12 minutes this week, and I haven't finished it yet, which is funny. It's cool. I don't know if you've played 12 minutes yet, either of you.
No, I really want to know about it because I've kind of spoiled it for myself a little bit, which is unfortunate. But I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on it when you're finished with it, because I love time shenanigans. I really do, and it just seems so great.
So far, I'm enjoying it.
Okay, that's good to know.
What 12 minutes is, for those of you who are not aware, essentially it is an indie game featuring some fabulous voice actors. Well, some fabulous actors outright. There's James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe. Only 3 characters in this game, because it is about a guy that comes home and then is then stuck in a 12-minute loop that keeps going over and over and over again until you can solve how to get out of it. It's from a top-down perspective, so you're seeing this whole apartment from a top-down perspective, and you're playing as this guy from this guy's point of view, and just discovering why is he in this loop, how do you get out of this loop. And it's essentially a puzzle game. It may as well be a point and click puzzle game. You play with just using the mouse, and you have to figure out how to get out of that situation while also using information from previous loops to progress yourself further in the future until you find until you find the one true run that you're supposed to do in order to solve everything. I've not gotten that far yet. I was playing it very late at night, and I hit a dead end where I couldn't do anything. And then the next morning I woke up and realized I was being an idiot, and the solution was very, very simple. But so far, it's a fun game. I don't know if they needed the super expensive voice actors that they would have gotten. Like Willem Dafoe and Daisy Ridley, James McAvoy, fantastic actors, but I don't think for their role within the game.
I was going to say, do they kind of add anything to that? Like, what's the point of them being there, really? If it's just
both of the British actors are putting on these terrible American accents in the game as well. They're not bad, and obviously they're passable, but it doesn't make any if you're gonna do that, you may as well just go for someone who is cheaper, because you don't really hear them as James McAvoy or Daisy Ridley. You hear them as just like 2 random American accents, and you kind of just disconnect from the fact.
Have we done some digging and figured out whether they actually know the person? Like, are the developers like old uni friends or something?
It does seem like they were probably friends or something to get into that.
It does seem a little odd that you sort of you particularly as an indie game studio, like I can't imagine, if you're paying proper rates, I can't imagine James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley and Willem Dafoe would be at the top of your sort of budget list in terms of what do we need to prioritize with our limited indie budget. I don't know. Let's get some Hollywood actors in.
I mean, I feel like it definitely caught people's attention to have those names as part of the game, and I feel like it's very, very what happens when you get Professor X-Ray and the Green Goblin in one spot. Chad is saying
12 minutes.
That's a fair question.
I feel, you know what? I think if they were playing those characters, it would be a far more interesting game than it is. I'm not saying it's boring, but it's a little. It seems a little bit by the books. It seems like I already know what's going to happen at the end, and what the twist might end up being. Like what this whole mystery.
I get the
around.
impression also because it's kind of hard to avoid when you're in a time loop. Not being repetitive to some degree because you have to keep doing the same things over and over again to figure it out.
Well, this is exactly what I was kind of getting frustrated with because you only get like 10 to 12 minutes to actually do these things. It was giving me anxiety. Like it kind of felt like I was trying to speed run something over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And because you've only got a set period of time. I think you can pause the game if you go into your inventory, but because you only have that time, I'm like constantly, okay, I've got to do this. Okay, now I've got to do this before this character does that. Otherwise, I won't have time to do this thing. So as soon as like certain things went wrong, I'm like, well, this run is screwed up. Time to just experiment on different things. And you can reset the run at any time by just like walking out the front door. That's a tiny little spoiler, but literally just walking out the door will reset the loop again. So you can't actually escape from this situation, unfortunately. But even so, like it was extremely repetitive, and I wish there was some kind of other control that you had in there to like either rewind or do something. So if you messed up slightly, you didn't have to start the whole run again. But the fact that it is such a short amount of time means that, again, if you want to reset, you could just instantly do it anyway. So it doesn't really matter. It does get very, very repetitive in that sense. Some runs, though, if I would screw up, I would literally just go and just start messing about with things, seeing, okay, what else I can do. At one point, so there's a knife in the game, and you can experiment and use. This is also like a point of contention.
I can see where this is going already.
Some people are annoyed about the lack of content warnings with the game because there's a lot that you could do with that knife with the multiple characters that are in the game.
Right.
So yeah, I basically lost all inhibitions at one point and did some horrible things that I'm not proud of. But it was so weird that the game actually allows you to do that, and it thinks of that, and it actually adds dialogue for that, and there's like dialogue recorded for so many things. Super, super interesting. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm super looking forward to seeing how it ends, but I don't know, it's not really that game changing. I would definitely say for an indie game that the most interesting thing about it is probably the fact that they got these big name voice actors. I'm we'll see. Anyway, I also played. Sorry, you were gonna.
No, I was about to prompt you and ask you what else you've been up to.
Final Fantasy 14, continuing that. I played up till patch 5.3.
Wow,
it was
nice.
Super emotional, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone, even though it came out like I don't know how long ago. But I cried multiple times, and yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing off the other patch quests.
Nice.
But I'm almost up to date on that now, getting ready for Endwalker coming out.
Yeah, soon.
Super excited. It's like 80 days away.
Yeah, I skipped most of the story in FF14. Okay, let me tell you, I didn't do it for evil reasons, I promise. I started playing it whenever 2.0 came out, so as soon as The Realm Reborn released, and I was doing the story, and then I got into a raid group, and I was working really long hours, and my raid group were progressing through like new patches and stuff much quicker than I was, so I started skipping to try and keep up. And then I rejoined the story and had no idea who anybody was or what had happened. So I'm actually replaying it now on an alt because I want to re-experience the story before Endwalker comes out so I actually understand. And it really struck me because on Twitter, I saw a meme and I looked at it and I didn't know who 3 of the NPCs were that were in the meme. And I was like, I can't do this. So I am going to replay because I actually played through most of like Stormblood and Shadowbringers, but I still had like very little context from previous stuff. So I'm slowly slogging my way through on an alt, and I'm hoping that I can get caught up just so that I know what's going on now.
Are you still in 2.0?
Oh god, yes I am. Yeah, okay. It's the longest part.
Those voice actors hit different now, don't they?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I actually remember whenever I first played through, I switched to the Japanese voiceovers because the English voiceovers were really, really okay, not bad, but they were like very wooden and like felt out of place.
Yeah, so the thing with that was I think they're all like US based voice actors who are all doing British accents. And if you
Yes,
thought 12 minutes was weird with UK
oh, it
actors
was
doing
bad.
American
Yeah, it was
accents,
really bad.
the other way around is always so much worse.
And I feel like they didn't get a lot of direction for some of it because there were some where the emotions just didn't feel right for the situation and their pacing was weird.
I remember I dropped in on you on one stream and there was literally like a roll band scene. And I'm just like, this is the worst thing I think I've ever heard.
Yes!
These emotions are so
I remember
incorrect.
that. And they were just wrong for the scene. And it just feels really strange now. And I've switched back to English just so because I did switch to English for like the future stuff because the voice actors are different then. And they sound great. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll play from the beginning and oh no, this is weird. But I'll get it. I'll slog through and I'll get there.
Yes. From 3.0 onwards, which is Heaven's Ward, all the VAs were changed to like UK based voice actors, so they actually sound like super, super good from that point. I think it's been the same all the way through, except for I think one of the voice actors passed away.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, fantastic game though. I'm still loving that. What have you been up to, Kirsty?
I finished Mass Effect 2 last week for like the 8th time probably. I've been playing the Legendary Edition and I went through Mass Effect 1 and then I took a break and did some other stuff. I played like Subnautica Below Zero and then I came back and started Mass Effect 2 a little while ago. I finished it last week. Went through a couple of things that like I feel very strangely about. Like, for example, there's a DLC. I don't know how familiar both of you are with Mass Effect.
I played everyone.
Okay,
except for Andromeda. I just couldn't.
Yeah, same. Do you remember Project Overlord, the DLC?
Oh Lord.
No, Overlord.
Yeah. I can't. Which one was that?
So it's the one. I could tell you that it required a lot of content warnings that it did not get for things like severe ableism and really, really terrible portrayal of autism, and it just was very uncomfortable. I streamed it. I knew it was coming, and I thought maybe I should play this off stream. And I decided to stream it because I was going to put it on YouTube, and I wanted the context to be there. And then I streamed it, and it was so much worse than I remembered it being. And I'm really surprised they didn't choose to leave it off. In the Legendary Edition, they could have just left it as like a document you read somewhere instead of having to play through it, because it's really violent and abusive and horrible. And I was like 2 hours of my life sitting on stream feeling incredibly uncomfortable the entire time. We had content warnings in the title and in chat, but I'm just really shocked that they didn't choose to change that like in some way, because it has ramifications in Mass Effect 3, but it's literally just like a really small reference to it, I think. So they could have just left it as a file that you read about at some point and went, oh, wow, that guy sure was an asshole, instead of having to experience it. You know what I mean? So I'm surprised it was there. I'm surprised it had no content warnings. I've only played it once before this playthrough, and it was just really heavy and unexpected, I guess. I was very surprised.
I think I completely erased it from my mind because I cannot, and I played all the DLC, I cannot remember it all. So obviously it didn't have a very, very good narrative. Otherwise I probably would have.
No, I don't feel, so I feel like the start of it begins feeling like this really interesting kind of vaguely horror aspect, because you have this like rogue VI that's like it's taken over, and it's got like the creepy voice lines in the background and stuff, and you're like, oh, what's going on here? And then it just becomes horrible in like every way, and the narrative does not make up for any of it, like at all. And it's just like, okay, well, this really just could have been left out. We didn't need this. So I'm quite surprised. I am a big, I do like BioWare. I'm a big fan of BioWare games, and I love Mass Effect is probably my favorite series I've talked about recently on stream. I keep saying that I don't know what my favorite game is, but it probably is the Mass Effect series. But there are just some things that I think probably could have been left out, and I'm surprised they weren't. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like it should have like those content warnings like the old let's say the older cartoons have now on like streaming services, where it's like, this is a product of its time, where people are kind of weren't necessarily.
Yeah, so we
thinking
talked about that
stuff.
actually. I really think that even just having a content warning would have been super helpful. But the whole, we talked about the idea of it being a product of its time. I do think it is, but like that doesn't excuse it, because one of the, obviously not that it ever does, but you know what I mean? Because the way they portrayed one of the characters in it, it's the way media did, and it just sucks. And I went into this completely baffled, because I'm like, we just had this big conversation about content warnings and how important they are, and how they can make a huge difference if they're deployed really well. And then I went straight into this, and it's not mentioned at all anywhere. And I was like, wow, okay, cool, thanks. That's great. And it's interesting, because like that was another thing that came up, like the boyfriend dungeon. I played the beginning of it. I haven't played much of it, but it basically was a game that was released at, I guess, the right or the wrong time, depending on how you look at it, to be kind of central to that discussion, because it was something that I think was probably going to come up eventually anyway. We were probably going to have a big conversation about that. And they just happened to they had a content warning, but it was very not descriptive. And yeah, that's why that big conversation happened on Twitter and social.
Yeah, I heard about that, like something to do with a potential like stalker and like that kind of like in-depth.
The character in question, I didn't encounter, because I only played the first like 2 hours of it. I didn't encounter any of the like super problematic behavior, but the character in question is like really creepy from the very beginning. Like the kind of character who I was sitting the whole time going, ugh, you're the kind of person who just makes people's skin crawl, like just by existing. Do you know what I mean? That sounds really horrible, but to be fair, he was an asshole, so...
But they're doing good things, because they are going back in and they're tweaking the content warnings, aren't they?
Yeah, good. And I think that's good.
Yeah, I'd say like having games without any like particular with problematic things in there, without at least like giving you some kind of heads up, that can be really really harmful in some instances, depending on what it is, especially depending on what it deals with as well. Like if I had to go through a game and then all of a sudden there was like some horrifying transphobic abuse in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like yeah, and obviously like some people will downplay other things, saying, well, it's only like a character being represented in a certain way. It's like, well, to you it's like that, but to a lot of other people that's
the other thing, like to give you the option to make your decision, like whether you want to play it, you know.
And particularly if you've been enjoying the game, if you really sort of if you've really invested in it, if it's a really kind of what's been sold to you as kind of like a really kind of pro LGBT kind of game, and then to suddenly jump in, it's all a bit weird.
That is something I definitely saw like during the whole like Twitter exchanges about Boyfriend Dungeon. It's like people really loving it at the start, and then they're like, oh, this thing comes up and it's completely ruined my enjoyment of the game. Yeah. I
think it's just that it's being able to set expectations. I think having a content warning, because something someone said to me that I actually think rings really true, is that people who need a content warning or a trigger warning know they need it, and they will seek it out. So if you put it somewhere where they can easily access it, it does, like if you're scared of spoilers for people who don't, then that's fine. Put it with a spoiler tag and essentially put it somewhere where if you don't want spoiled, you don't have to see it. And then if you do want to know what the content warning is, you can click it and actually see it yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Which makes sense. Let's move on to our bite-sized news. We've got two things to talk about today. The first one, we might as well start with the positives. So let's talk about LGBTQ stuff at Gamescom. It's been Gamescom this past week. And we've had some fantastic little videos and some fantastic things coming out. And I think some of them, I think it's fair to say it's not been the most excitingly diverse week in the world, I don't think. But we did a little wrap up on gaming, which I'm just going to throw that link into la chat. And it's, I thought we might as well have a little wander through the game stuff that's come out in Gamescom. My eye was always drawn. I'm quite a big racing driving game fan, and to see Forza make the list baffles me still. I mean, we did this.
Really surprised that this is where we encounter inclusivity in gaming. And that sounds like a horrible thing to say because I'm like, car game, but like that's amazing. It's really good.
It is. And for those that don't know, this was first revealed, I think, at E3 this year. But for the character creator in Forza is super diverse and super inclusive and includes pronoun choices, modifying their looks and even allowing prosthetics, which I think, for what inherently is the driver, it is a racing game. To sort of like see them taking those big steps, I think is super awesome, and it's a really great thing to do. And it's as chat's disbelieving me as I talk about this. It's in Forza. It's in the kind of like the man game, and so
that's true.
So to sort of see that, I think just really it sets my heart sort of like nicely.
I mean, it's what we need to see, right? We need to see more kind of more
normality.
Mainstream games just doing this because without like making a big song and dance of it. Just this is a thing, and that's it. It's normal. It's
absolutely,
it should be
absolutely,
right?
Totally. And I think you're absolutely right. The uniqueness of this is the fact that then it's not a big surprise. It's not a big kind of moment. It's just a normal thing. And that's really great. And that's really great to see. Of course, we saw some more of Life is Strange, True Colors.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, fresh off the back, it's a sad news that the remaster's not out until next year, because I'd have liked to have played through the remaster and then jump straight into True Colors. But I am super hyped for it. I mean, I think we sort of saw some lovely little romances blooming in the trailer, in the small segment. We actually got to see Alex help one of the residents of Haven Springs, who's going through the early stages of dementia, which is a topic that's been quite close to my heart recently. So for me, it's kind of like I think that's going to be a game that I'm going to play on my own in a locked room, and just feel my emotions for a few hours.
I did that with Spiritfarer. Actually, I just kind of played in the dark by myself and felt my feelings, cried a lot. I think sometimes you have to do that with certain games. I'm planning on streaming True Colors, and it's actually my first Life is Strange game. Because I really want to jump into the original, but obviously, like I haven't had the time.
That's why I wanted to go through the remaster. And
it's like, so I might wait for the remaster, but I'm gonna do True Colors because apparently you don't need to have played the previous games to be able to enjoy it. So I'm just excited because it feels like it's doing something a little bit different, and I like the fact that we have a bi protagonist. That's pretty nice. I like that. And it just looks really good. It looks really, really great. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
Absolutely. And we got Moonglow Bay. We saw a bit more of that as well, which is a super lovely game that's due out on the 7th of October. So not too much longer on that. And they obviously include same-sex relationships, pronouns as well. And it's just like it's a beautiful fishing game, but done in a kind of like really wholesome kind of way, which is lovely.
It looks adorable.
Absolutely. And then there's Waylanders, which is basically if you took Dragon Age Origins and then sort of threw in some time travel, Celtic mythology, and medieval Spain into one game, which sounds pretty awesome already.
Yeah, it does. And like we were talking earlier about BioWare games and stuff, the fact that it's kind of like loosely inspired, I guess, to a degree from like the old CRPGs like Neverwinter Nights or Dragon Age Origins or whatever. And the fact that they have such like a diverse representation of relationships is really cool because that doesn't always happen. Yeah. In fact, it very rarely happens, if we're being honest.
No, totally. And obviously, I think Hades started the trend, didn't they? With some of their sort of, positive relationships over the past year or so. But no, apparently this has got an open-minded perspective on sex and gender and options for polyamorous relationships with many of the companions and characters you come across. And
that's really cool.
Sorry, I'm just reading. You'll get the chance of meeting these characters again in different life forms or simply older for your immortal companions when you travel into the future.
Really interesting. And so different.
Which is sort of like, as you said earlier, Kirsty, like you'd like the sort of time bendy
Yeah,
stuff.
love that.
So nice.
I love
bit
a
of,
mind mess kind of game, something that kind of makes me go, what is going on? Love that kind of stuff.
And then I think the big news for me, obviously, was Saints Row.
Yeah.
The return, the reboot of Saints Row. And I'm fascinated to see how a game handles a reboot. Chat's going to tell me if I got this wrong, but I don't think a game series has actually rebooted itself.
Yeah,
I can't think
of
a proper filmic
Crackdown.
kind of reboot with new cast, new characters. And
There was Crackdown, but like that kind of like just completely flew under the radar because there was supposed to be that Crackdown reboot.
Oh, and Devil May
then,
Cry,
like,
apparently. Thank you, chat.
Came out and just, like disappeared. Devil May Cry was like highly controversial for what they did for the actual characters within that. This has actually received a little bit of controversy as well. I don't know if you've seen that about Saints Row. For some reason,
it's gone the other way.
Yeah, people are really angry that it's not like down. I looked into it a little bit, and I think some people are angry that it's not like down to earth, and that the protagonists are not just like local gang thugs and are more so like a diverse range of characters.
Yeah.
And I think the point there was like these characters are starting their own criminal empire, their own gang empire, rather than being already entrenched in it. So a lot of people seem to have had like issues with that, and I don't really understand why, because the game's like skewed really wacky towards the end anyway. If anything, this is a far more grounded version of that. I will say it's probably got a little bit of like Fortnite inspiration in there from what I saw of the trailer. But it looks interesting enough. It seems like it's going to be a decent game, and I feel like it's another case of gamers getting angry over nothing again.
Gamers getting angry over something that's already been there. Like they're complaining about the wokeness, they're complaining about the queerness.
That happens so often,
it's been in Saints Row for years.
Yeah. No, like it's
all the way
angry
back to
entitled
2,
gamers who did they even play the same game as we did? I don't know.
It's the same thing. And I think it's literally as simple as I was on a panel at DevCom this week, hosting a panel at DevCom this week. I
was also on that panel.
You were also on that panel. I was on the panel.
I was.
And we were both joined on that panel by the senior community manager of Saints Row. And off the panel, she was saying that she thinks that the majority of people are just getting the knickers in a twist over the fact that it's the fact they replaced some of the, as you say, the sort of like the wacky characters with down to earth POC characters. And I think that's probably pissed a few people off. But
yeah, I think like any time that like a regular character, it's like I say regular character, but like your regular gaming character, which is a white buff boy or skinny girl, is replaced with something a little bit different, and it's put forward in a trailer, people are always going to scream woke and then be outraged about it for no other reason than just, again, POCs or LGBT people existing. It's so weird. It's so odd.
It's incredibly weird to me. Like I see it happening all the time, and it's just baffling. I don't get it.
It's part of the larger I guess it's part of the larger thing is that for some reason they still fear that LGBTQI plus people or persons of color are coming in and trying to change their games, when it's been like this for the last, I don't know, 15 plus years now.
Particularly in Saints Row.
Time it's like, oh, you're pushing a woke agenda. No, you're just having it's just representation.
Just being ourselves. Yeah,
it's just representation. It's like you just want to have like a black guy in the lead role. Why are you freaking out about it? Like, it's because
it's baffling.
It's crazy.
Has anyone else picked up on anything they stood out from Gamescom?
Things. I think the new Turtles game looks great, like that old school pixel art arcade beat 'em up. That looks really, really cool. April's a playable character, so you know she's gonna be my main now. That's what I'm gonna go for. I think the one thing that really, really got me was Cult of the Lamb. I'm not sure if you saw this.
No.
I saw a little bit of rumbling on Twitter about it, but I haven't actually seen it.
So the trailer is fantastic. I don't know if you play Binding of Isaac, but it looks like an animal version of Binding of Isaac in terms of gameplay, with a slightly different camera angle, except it's about this lamb person very, very cute, who was about to be like sacrificed or something, and so they make a deal with like a some kind of horrible eldritch horror, and in exchange for sparing their life, that you now have to build up this cult around you. So
I'm
it's like
in.
somebody described it in my chat today as Satanimal Crossing.
I'm so in.
That's
And
amazing.
it looks amazing. It does. It looks so good. There is also Outlast Trials. I'm a fan of the first Outlast. I didn't play the second one.
I hated the second one. Loved the first
Yeah.
one. Thought the second one was going too far into shock value rather than actual horror, if you know what I mean. So I just
I
got
played the
bored of
demo
it.
for the second, and I definitely felt that with
Yeah.
it. I struggle with games that take away all your control. In terms of like you have no way to fight back whatsoever, and becomes this like cat and mouse kind of, oh, you got to hide inside a locker until something passes. But this new one actually stuck out to me a little bit because it seems to be potentially co-op, and you're actually, I don't know, part of some kind of like trial experiments in the Outlast universe. So that seemed really, really interesting. That you can play that as either single player and co-op. But I'm looking forward to see where that goes. But hopefully it'll be better than the second. Not that I didn't play the second, but better than the story the second one decided to go with. Other than that, Midnight Fight Express kind of looks like a Hotline Miami type of game, except what was really impressive about it is made by one person.
Wow.
Like it's like a 3D like Hotline Miami-esque game, which is made just by a single developer, which is insane to me, and that looked really cool. Yeah, that's about all I got from it. You got your regular stuff like your Call of Duties, and which I don't really go for. It looks interesting. You got another World War II Call of Duty Vanguard, but it's Activision, and Activision.
We don't talk about Activision at the moment.
No. Like it's like when they learn to start respecting their employees, maybe I'll play an Activision game again. But
that's fair.
But that's about all I saw from that. What else? Other than that, actually, sorry, one last thing. There's a new Halo Infinite console coming out. It actually looks really cool.
I really want to play through Halo again. I only played the first game and I loved it, and then I never got any of the other ones. So I actually want to go back to the beginning.
Reach is so
I
good.
really need to play it. It looks so good.
I never played 1 or 2. I only started the series on 3, and then I played like ODST and Reach. But Reach has got like a really good. It's got some really good moments in Reach. Reach is great. Reach is great.
That's cool.
But if you look at this like special edition console, you want to get the controller by itself, which is like Master Chief themed. It's £180 for the controller by itself.
Oh my goodness.
For the audio listeners, there are some shocked faces.
Sorry. That's wild.
But it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Now, like I know that we do some work with Xbox sometimes, but even so, for a limited edition,
180 quid for a controller seems a little bit.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah. Is there anything else that you all saw that you're looking forward to?
I'm actually just really baffled that Call of Duty is doing like a World War II thing when Battlefield 2042 is coming out in October. And it's going for futuristic, and they normally are really super close together with like their time frames and stuff.
Well, didn't Battlefield like do a World War II thing a few years back as well? Like, didn't they?
Yeah. I don't remember when that was now. I've lost all track of time, but yeah, they did.
I remember people being so angry about like the woman in the trailer with the
oh my god.
Arm. It's like,
they're so mad about that.
You're pushing the woke agenda of a person with a prosthetic arm, and she's a woman, even though women fought in the Second World War.
There were people who were real mad about that, and I remember getting into an argument with somebody. It wasn't specifically about that. I remember getting into an argument with someone who was like, "Oh, but it's not fair because their hitboxes would be so much smaller than like the men." And I was like, "Have you ever actually seen a woman in like full military gear? You literally can't tell. The shapes of their bodies are very similar. Maybe some of them are slightly shorter, but like people are different heights. Like what are you talking about? You're making up the biggest excuses for something. Just to be angry."
I will say the only interesting thing about Vanguard that I actually like the look of, like at least in the gameplay that they're showing off, you're a female character who is a nurse in a Nazi occupied like city. and the way that they were showing the gameplay, that you're actually, I guess, like developing a resistance, or you're on the inside and you're just trying to escape from that situation at first. And it was actually really cool to see that situation, because you don't really get that in like shooty bang bang games.
No, that's true.
They're showing that side of World War II, where it's just like little resistances being like brought up in occupied territory. That's kind of super cool. But again, I'm not really into first-person shooters or Call of Duty.
I'm really excited for Battlefield 2042 because I really am into shooters, but I know that like I'm a variety streamer and I stream very specific games, and FPS games aren't really in there at all. I tend to play story-driven games or sandboxy games, and I'm gonna stream Battlefield, and I don't know how it's gonna go, but I don't care. I'm so excited.
Well, if it has a good enough story, maybe they'll latch onto that. Well,
yeah, they've had stories they're usually short, but Battlefield has had like the single player campaigns or like the mini like story segments that you can play through. So we'll see. I don't know if they're doing that or not this time. They're doing some weird stuff this time. They have it's called Battlefield Portal or something, and it's you can spawn in with like everyone has the same weapon, so you might end up everyone on your team has shock paddles that you would use to like revive somebody, and that's your weapon. You have to shock the enemy, so you have to get into melee combat. Whereas they all might have knives or they might have rocket launchers, and you won't know until you're there.
Seems a little unfair.
It does, but like at the same time, I watched the trailer for it. I was like, you know what? I'm into it. I think this looks like it's going to be absolute chaos, and I love chaos. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that's definitely missing from like the first-person shooter genre now. It's just like, other than like Fortnite, which and like the your what are they called? Your arena shooters, the 99-1. I forgot what the term is.
Battle royales.
Yeah, thank you. Other than battle royales, it seems like with first-person shooters, like the fun has like completely disappeared from them. You used to have like time splitters with like all the wackiness, and now it just seems like it's all very. You got to be very. You got to be very serious, or even if we're saying it in future, there's still a serious storyline.
Yeah.
And
I like a bit of wackiness.
Wackiness is good. I would look forward to that. Give me some more monkeys that can run around with guns. Like, do me another James Bond so I can run around as Oddjob.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
Definitely. That's what we need. Let's move on from happy things to incredibly sad and horrendous things. Because there's been obviously the spate of horribleness happening around Twitter and Twitch and Discord and everything else over the past few weeks with the hate raids that have been going on. And I think it's only fair that we use this platform and use the opportunity now to completely condemn them and completely condemn Twitch for not having stepped up and actually found a solution to it.
Yeah. So again, filling in information for those of you who are uninformed, because there seem to be a lot of uninformed people when it comes to this topic. And just a quick shout out to the Jimquisition, who actually put out a very, very good video today on the subject.
Yeah.
But essentially what it is there are users going around with bot accounts, essentially up to between like 200 to 1,000 bot accounts, and they will send those into somebody's stream. Usually it's a marginalized creator, so either like someone who's LGBTQ or a person of color, and they will use those bot accounts to just spam homophobic or racist abuse at the streamer. And because it's so many messages from bots all at once, it literally just destroys that stream for a period of time until the mods or the person who's running the stream can get that sorted out. Now, in isolation, you seem, that's, that happens to people. It's not that big of a deal. People deal with that all the time. Why are you kicking up such a fuss about it? This happens nearly every stream to every marginalized creator on the platform, if this can be small or big at the moment on Twitch, and it's just becoming more and more of a problem because you have to deal with it every single time. And for me personally, as someone who's actually dealt with hate raids, I've been hate raided multiple times at this point. Anytime I have to deal with it, it's literally put the stream into 10-minute follower only mode and then sit there while the mods, bless their souls, go through and ban every single account that is associated with the hate raid, as well as like clearing the chat and deleting the messages. It has a very negative impact on the stream. It has a very negative impact on viewership, the streamer, especially when you see some of the stuff that's being sent through. And in certain cases, the tools that Twitch have provided for this are not enough to deal with the problem, because they're using, for instance, Cyrillic characters that aren't detected the same way a normal word would be. So if someone comes in spamming the N word, for instance, usually that would be picked up by AutoMod and blocked. But if somebody is using a variation of that with different letters from different alphabets, that doesn't get picked up and it just goes straight through. And the issue that people are having at the moment is that Twitch has been very lax on dealing with the situation. It is the majority of it is affecting, again, like marginalized communities, with the aim to just completely stop us from being able to make a living, being able to stream, being able to be on the platform whatsoever. And the reply that we've got from Twitch so far is we're working on it, and pretty much nothing else. Like that's about it. They went into a little bit of detail, but they said, oh, we can't share anything because, you know, they might get ahead of us. So in response to that, there have been members of the Twitch streaming community who have gotten together, including the I believe it's Wreck-It Raven, who is trying to put together a movement to get everybody to boycott Twitch for a day on September 1st, and that is called #ADayOffTwitch. And that has received a lot of criticism from larger creators too, who have basically said that it's not going to do anything, and that it's actually not going to change anything, and that is slacktivism. And in some cases, people have been calling it performative, when in fact it's definitely not. And the whole point is to raise awareness about that this is going on. And what's been really frustrating is not only Twitch's lack of input on the situation, but the fact that so many large creators, rather than using their voice to actually help the situation, have just been shouting down the methods used by people to try and change things without offering anything constructive whatsoever, and then getting defensive over people being upset by them adding nothing to the conversation except for trying to criticize. It's just been incredibly frustrating for a lot of people involved, and it seems like a time where, in order to get anything done, this really needs to be a time where we all stand in solidarity for each other. But I think the major issue is because a lot of these larger creators are white cisgender people who aren't necessarily the target of these raids. They don't necessarily see the scope of the problem. They look at it and say, well, you already have the tools to deal with it, when you don't. If you ban however many accounts, the way that it's set up at the moment, it's very easy for someone who writes like scripts for bots and stuff to just open so many more accounts on Twitch and just do it again. There's no way of fighting that off right now, because Twitch itself, you can use the same email to sign up as many accounts as you like.
That's wild.
There's no email verification. There's no options for two-factor authentication. It's super, super easy. It's ridiculous.
There are so many things that could be implemented and that I hope will be, but it's baffling to me that they haven't been already, to prevent the fact that literally a person who has decided to do this could set up thousands of accounts within minutes. And there's no way for a normal human being to be able to block that many accounts. It's just, it's too hard. Because if you do it manually, because maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think you can import lists into Twitch's own banning.
You can in bots for that. Okay. Essentially, basically what the community is actually doing now is they're kind of like crowdsourcing our own solutions.
Which we shouldn't have to do.
No.
Again, no. The safety of creators should be at the sole responsibility of Twitch, and it should be Twitch's responsibility to give those creators significant tools in order for us to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Including, for instance, one very, very simple implementation is enabling two-factor authentication to be able to chat within a person's chat. So it could be a toggle within somebody's stream that you set yourself and say, yeah, this needs to be either email verified or two-factor authenticated, or whatever, in order to be able to chat here. The issue with that is like any barriers, people could say, oh, why don't you just use follow only mode or sub only mode? Any barriers that people set up to stop people from being able to chat in their chat is going to affect viewership, is going to affect the people who actually follow. It's going to affect discovery, and it shouldn't be on marginalized creators who already receive so much shit to have to deal with this on top of it and be responsible for a problem which is not of their making, which is a problem with the platform itself. We
already face a much harder time with discoverability and growth compared to, and I mean, like, I recognize that as myself being white, for example, I will have an easier time than someone else. But these creators who are frankly generally cisgender white dudes, they don't face the same difficulties with growth that other people do. And then even then, if they do decide to add sub mode or use follower only mode, it doesn't impact them in the same way that it impacts other people like us. It's a completely different experience. So saying, why don't you just turn on follower only mode for 10 minutes? Or why don't you turn on sub only mode? That also doesn't actually counteract the fact that people are getting follow botted, meaning that their alerts are completely swarmed by a bunch of bots just flooding their follower. You have to turn off your alerts. Fine. But my event list is now flooded. What am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's also forgetting the fact that this is not just every once in a while. This can be every stream. This can be multiple times every stream for certain like creatives of color. It's literally like I think somebody put out a post about them doing a stream. They played about 4.5 hours of a game the other day, and for about a majority of it, they couldn't play the game because they were being constantly
it's incredibly disruptive. Because if you can't rely on Twitch's tools, you're having to rely on yourself and your mods, which is completely disrupting your stream. How are you supposed to do the thing that you're there to do, which is to entertain people, when you're having to focus on the safety of yourself and of your community? Because obviously that's of paramount, but it's so disruptive, and it makes me incredibly angry seeing people be so dismissive, because I don't experience it, so what does it matter?
And that's actually another good point as well. It's like people who have suggested solutions are like, okay, so boycotting Twitch for a day won't do anything, but what you really want to do is leave the platform and go to YouTube and start streaming there. A more prominent creator said that. And it's like, well, for starters, that's the whole point of the hate raids, is to try and remove marginalized creators from the platform, to get it to a point where they can't stream anymore. Doing that is essentially saying, okay, you win. It's not necessarily going to be any safer on that other platform for the creator, and that's also putting the onus on that creator to throw away all of their income, all of the community that they've built over time, to try and rebuild on another platform. I know there's something to be said for diversifying your income, but for a lot of people, for a lot of marginalized creators, the communities they have struggled to build over a course of several years on the platforms that they're on. To say just leave that platform and start again on another platform is absolutely ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. And I don't want to get too angry about it, obviously, although I should, because at the moment it's crickets from Twitch. And it's just incredibly frustrating, just not having the tools to be able to deal with it. I'm hoping that, because they have apparently they have talked to like the heads of the A Day Off Twitch movement at this point. They've talked to Wreck-It Raven about certain things. They've had like a closed off meeting about that. But I'm still kind of doubtful that any meaningful change will happen anytime soon. If you look at historically, Twitch has been very, very unreliable for that stuff. If you go back a couple of years to the Twitch Safety Council, for instance, in that situation, one of its very prominent, one of the people who's part of the Twitch Safety Council, a Twitch ambassador, a trans person, was brigaded and hate mobbed. Now, they did say a few things that, weren't necessarily constructive, but it didn't mean that justify the hate and abuse that they received to the point where they were harassed off the platform. If Twitch can't even protect the creators that it earmarks as being part of the safety council for the platform, I don't have any faith in their ability to get anything done. And that also goes for, okay, the safety council didn't do anything. And I'm not saying it's because the safety council themselves are incompetent. There are some wonderful people on that council, but it just goes to show that I imagine it was a similar scenario. They probably have meetings, and then these changes which were supposed to be implemented just get lost in the administrative ineffectiveness that is Twitch. I've heard a lot of stories about behind the scenes Twitch is just not great at getting things changed, because it's like a nightmare of like passing things to higher ups and just communicating with each other. So as far as my kind of like as far as I believe right now, I don't have any faith that Twitch is going to make any meaningful changes anytime soon. And again, this also goes into how long I and like many other marginalized people had to fight for the tagging system for discoverability on Twitch. Literally, I think it was like since they got rid of communities, it was about like since 2018, and it was only this year, a week before Pride Month, because they were saving it for Pride Month as this performative bullshit.
Horrible move.
Yeah. To save their own necks after the PogChamp stuff came out, they released the information about the new tagging system changes that they were making for discoverability. And the thing is, it works fantastically. The tagging system has allowed horrible people, wonderful people, to find people's marginalized creators' streams. So discoverability, fantastic. But it's also allowed horrible people to find the streams and cause a scenario. And they knew, it was one of the reasons that they said they didn't want to implement the system, is that they knew there would be abuse afterwards, which also means that several years ago, when we were asking for this stuff, they knew there was a problem with harassment on their platform. And during that whole of that time, they have not found solutions for that. And even now, they should have those. If they knew, they should have those solutions at this point.
Yep. I was hate rated in 2019 quite severely on both Twitch and Discord at the same time. And that was 2019. It was the first time I've ever been called a slur because of my sexuality. And I was actually talking about it. Like, I've got to the point now where I was talking about it like, oh, well, this time round, I've been relatively lucky, but like it happened to me in 2019. And someone in my chat actually said, no, that's actually really bad. The fact that it happened in 2019 and nothing has changed and now it's so much worse is actually really bad. They've known this was coming. They've known that, maybe not in this particular way, but they've known that it was a problem. They've known that harassment was an issue. They were too scared to implement a tag system that their entire, well, okay, not their entire community, a large amount of their marginalized community were asking for. They knew that the reason that they didn't want to do that was because harassment was a problem. How could they release that and then just be like, okay, hands washed, and we're just going to sit back now and not do anything?
I think the issue on Twitch's part is any proposed changes that they would make, anything that stops users from being able to create accounts is a barrier that they put in place that obfuscates the likeliness of people becoming paid customers and buying bits. And
you're absolutely right.
And the fact that they would, well, again, this, I can't necessarily say that this is the truth, but this is what's most likely, in my mind at least, the fact that they would put that over the safety of essentially their employees who are using, their contractors who are using the platform is insane to me. They don't make money without us, essentially. And again, even if we were to leave the platform, I know that's like a drop in the bucket because like all the large creators aren't being affected by this. This is why it's so important for the large creators to also take a stand, to come out and say, hey, this is a real situation. It might not be affecting me, but now that I know the severity of it, and I'm not so ignorant as to say, oh, just turn on follow only mode every single stream and like destroy your stream every single stream. I actually want to get up and do something about it. And it's only until everybody stands together that change happens. If we have large creators pushing back against this and saying, I'm only going to do it if so-and-so does it, it's the stupidest shit. You have so much power. You have so much power to help drive change. and you could be the person who affects other large creators on the platform to try and actually give a shit.
It's just wild because I get it that they are so big and that they're so out of it that they don't know this stuff is happening. But then when it's brought to their attention, instead of actually acting on it, their reaction is to go, it's really not that big a deal. I feel like if you're presented with something, I don't expect bigger streamers or bigger content creators to know everything that's happening to marginalized creators all the time. I don't expect that. But I do expect that when it's brought to your doorstep and people say, hey, we could really use your help, that you would at least have some empathy and not immediately go, well, I mean, who cares what's happening to you people who have fewer viewers than I do or whatever. Like,
yeah, in some cases, these nobodies.
Yes. Oh, I'm so angry. I'm sorry. It's very disappointing.
It's extremely disappointing.
So how do we see what do we think the next sort of steps are? How are we,
support the boycott and maybe arrange more protests after that. Somebody said that it would probably be far more effective to actually, I think this was Devin Nash actually who was talking about it, and he's got some weird takes on the situation, but it does seem like he actually wants to help. But one of the suggestions that he said was actually to do a protest where everybody actually streams at the same time and literally just puts up the same PNG with the list of points and the information on what's going on, to actually like to draw resources from Twitch and say, hey, that literally it's going to cost Twitch money to stream out all these things concurrently, and they're not making anything from it, because if you've got that thing up there encouraging people to take their money away from the platform, Twitch will apparently take more notice of that. So maybe that's on the cards in the future going forward as well, depending on what the response from Twitch is. If there's no response from Twitch, I feel like that's coming, you know. And the only thing that you can do at the moment is encourage people to, you know, give you money outside of Twitch for a better cut. You know, I can't necessarily, the standard cut is 50-50 on Twitch. So they take a lot compared to other platforms. Getting people to move to other platforms to actually pay you, though, is difficult in of itself. But
it is really hard, because I feel like Twitch has intentionally made it so that you are rewarded for paying for a subscription, for example, through the emotes and everything. All of the kind of special things that you get for being subscribed on Twitch are far more appealing to a lot of people. And I understand, because like I can see the value I get from being subscribed to somebody whose channel I enjoy and the benefits I get from that over maybe some other platform. But at the same time, I think it is absolutely astounding that the standard cut is still 50%. And there's a lot of misinformation about it as well. There's a lot of people who don't understand that partners don't automatically get a higher cut. In fact, I don't think any partner, unless you reach a certain milestone, gets a higher cut. They apparently took away the ability to negotiate, which is interesting.
I think, like, I was watching a video and they said it's like you have to get to at least 1,000 subs concurrent for a number of months before you can even approach them about changing your...
Yeah, so apparently someone who did hit that approached them and got... Now, I don't know if this is true or if this is just the answer they got. Maybe it's not like across the board, but the answer they got was essentially that you can't negotiate, you can't approach us anymore. We will approach you when we think that blah, 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 blah. And if that's true, that is absolutely wild. And the fact that we're experiencing this, and then we're trying to also diversify where our income comes from and trying to diversify where we put our content out, at the same time as realizing that other platforms take significantly smaller cuts than what Twitch does. And then when you try to talk about that at the same time, you get like people saying, oh, well, you're just greedy. Why is that greedy? I don't understand. Why is it greedy to ask for a fairer cut? I just don't.
There seems to be this idea that asking for money in general is a bad thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Like people wanting to be able to pay their bills is a bad thing for some reason.
How dare you?
Yeah. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Like it's that whole, you know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps mantra. Like if you really wanted it, you would work harder, that sort of thing. Completely disregarding the, you know, individual situations for people and
the different experiences that different people and marginalized creators have, because the experience marginalized creators have is completely different to anyone else. Yeah, but that's never taken into consideration.
Especially when you have a platform that's consistently promoting certain creators, you know, mostly cis white guys who are consistently put on front page over and over and over again with no diversity whatsoever. There's no attempt at normalization of any other kind of creator. Those are the barriers that marginalized creators face. It's not just work harder and you'll get more money. It's okay, work harder than everybody else, plus get lucky enough to be seen, because the audience that you're after is not being is literally not being catered for on that platform. It's not being shown on that platform.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, like it's not like you can just sort of hack the mainframe and suddenly become the most promoted creator. That doesn't work that way. Like you could work super hard every single day, and it wouldn't necessarily make a difference. It might, but you can't guarantee that because it's not in your hands at all.
Part of it is luck. I mean, a lot of it is luck. On Twitch is luck. Like growing on different platforms is probably the best advice, but again, that's a lot of work. A lot of work.
But I think
I feel like
inherently the
creators
problem.
do that a lot. Sorry.
No. I just think like this is the problem when there's a monopoly. This is the problem when there's nowhere else for you guys to go that has any kind of like. I mean, Mixer obviously when it used to exist, but even that was sort of like hovering on the border of crap anyway. But it's just like I'm genuinely shocked actually over the past 2 or so years that nobody's. I mean, I think Chat mentioned something a while back, Altair or something.
Yeah, that was mentioned.
That I'm surprised that another company hasn't just chucked a load of money into this and gone, here we go, here's a solution.
Well, I feel like this is exactly why Twitch doesn't feel the need to actually make any crazy changes.
They're not worried.
They're not worried because they're resting on their laurels because there's no.
When you're sat on a monopoly, then it's
competitor. Yeah. And I do feel like they're blind to what effect this is actually having on the platform. You know, they're blind to the reputation, which is consistently seeming to go down the toilet, because eventually there's going to be nobody left. If it's not the marginalized creators getting hate, it's the gambling problems. If it's not and which they tried to like patch and didn't really solve that issue either. If it's not that problem, it's going to be something else. So Twitch needs to really pull its head out of its ass and make some changes and act like they care about their platform.
Yes, I agree.
Good place to leave that.
Just before that, the thing I was going to say was that when we're talking about diversifying, sorry, I'm fiddling with my camera lens because apparently I need to fidget today. Whenever we're talking about diversifying, people always say diversify your income, diversify your content. And marginalized creators have been doing that all along because like we have to. That's what we do. And it's hard work. It's a lot of work. And you're just saying, just keep working harder. Just keep putting more time into it. Your time will come.
While you face more barriers. Hate raids, which is another barrier that other creators don't face.
Because people are not like, I feel like those people are not taking into consideration the emotional and mental impact that has as well. Apart from the fact that it impacts your growth, it's hard to see that much hate all the time.
Yeah.
And people who say it's not
stream, which then has an effect on viewership because viewership drops and you have to spend time dealing with it.
Yes, because people also don't want to watch you be hate rated.
Yes.
Like, no one wants to see that.
Who wants to watch that?
No, absolutely.
It's literally detrimental to any kind of growth whatsoever. And like the thing is, like a lot of creators don't care because it's not affecting them. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I feel like we're going in circles though. So let's.
Yes, no, you're completely right.
Mm-hmm. Robin?
Cool. Yes. Kirsty, it's a time for a return to the spotlight. Obviously, you were here in March, so we're not going to run the whole interview thing again. We know who you are. You're fabulous.
Thanks.
But let's have a little catch up of what's happening and something quite exciting that links into the conversation we were having earlier that's coming up tomorrow.
So tomorrow I'm going to be playing KeyWe, which we were obviously talking about and listening to Bridie talk about earlier as well. I'm going to be playing with one of my friends who I play a lot of co-op games with, often involving a lot of chaos and sabotage. So that's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. It looks really, really wholesome, which I feel is something I really need right now, especially with everything that's going on. Having something that's just nice and chill and cozy and also chaotic at the same time. I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be really, really fun. So we're going to be playing that tomorrow at about 1 p.m. BST. And I am extremely excited to be able to butt slam on buttons and that be an actual core gameplay mechanic. That's going to be really cool.
As a super cute little burb. Actually, I like that the game looks so gosh darn cute. So.
Yeah,
it really does. It does. I was watching Evolicious' stream of it. It just looks so delightful. I didn't want to watch too much because I want to kind of go in with like super fresh eyes so that I'm surprised by everything because I love that. But it looks so adorable, which is just what I need.
Yeah. Oh, we need everything like that at the moment. Just,
Yep.
like, just wholesome content, please. Wholesome content. Like I know you were last here in March, but since then we've been missing out on pretty much everything. So between then and now, what have you been up to? How was your Pride Month? What was everything like for you?
So I've been indoors a lot. Like
really?
most of us, I think. So it's been my Pride Month. I think I was hitting a bit of a wall just before Pride. Like I think a lot of people in the LGBTQIA plus community were of just kind of fast approaching burnout with everything that's been going on. But I really wanted to still be there and still show up and still have a good time. So my Pride Month was good, but I tried to keep it relatively low key this time because last year I took part in a lot of different events. I didn't raise for charity this year purely because I had just done a charity event the week or two before for the Fuck Cancer charity. So I kind of wanted to give our community a little bit of a break, but I am kind of looking into pursuing some relevant charities for maybe the next month or two because I'm due another charity event soon, which I'm pretty excited about. That's gonna be fun.
Well, I was about to ask.
I was going to say, can you let us in what that is, or is that still in the works?
Still in the works because I have a couple of different, like I've raised money for the Trevor Project before. I would like to raise money for mermaids as well. I have raised for a couple of different places, but mermaids I've never raised money for, so I feel like it would be a nice thing to do this year as like something different. And then I'm just double checking like what other options there are as well, because I usually try to do a charity thing like every couple of months. And I've kind of slacked on it a little bit this year. So I want to do something kind of big this year, sort of autumn time. And I think that'll be pretty good.
Yeah. Do you ever get like approached by lots of different charities?
All the time.
I feel so bad sometimes.
Me
like,
too.
I'll do like a charity stream and then somebody else will approach me. I'm like, well, I also feel bad. Like I don't want to do charity streams back to back to back because it kind of feels like I'm like milking my audience for just
exactly. And I want to give them a break in between because like I feel like I'm constantly going like, hey, could you maybe spare some money for this charity? I actually got a really weird email from a charity that I thought was kind of a just a canned kind of email that wasn't directed at anyone in particular, where they sent me an email. They didn't address it to me or anything. They didn't say hi or introduce themselves. They just literally attached a poster. And I was like, this must just be spam. And I kind of ignored it, thinking nothing of it. And then they followed up like, hey, Psyche. So I was wondering if you were interested. And I was like, oh my God, I feel really bad. But at the same time,
put some context in your email.
Next time. But yeah, I get a lot of that. And I feel really guilty because like, I would say I get like 5 a week, maybe, approach me in my business email. And obviously I can't do all of them. Like none of us could. And it's so hard to say no.
Well, yeah. I mean, most of the time I don't reply to most of the emails that I'm sent. So yeah,
I don't reply to all of them. To be fair, like if it feels like it's just kind of being gone out to like sent out to like a mailing list or whatever, I don't generally reply to it unless they then follow up later. But
yeah, I feel like that's the same with general sponsorships though. If you get like a canned thing which isn't really like detailed to you and they don't know your content, they don't know what you're about, like it's do I really care about? Well, not care about charities, but do I really care about this offer, like the sponsorship offer, or if the company doesn't know me or my content?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fair. But yeah, I'm excited because I feel like I don't know, maybe this is not a general thing, but I feel like generally speaking, a lot of the people I know in the LGBT community were hitting kind of like it's been a lot this year. And there's been a lot going on the last couple of months. So like whenever it came to Pride Month, it was just kind of like, I really want to do something nice, but at the same time, I'm tired. So I feel like we kind of just had a fairly like cozy, quiet one this year. And maybe I'm hoping next year I'll be able to kind of go out a little bit more and be a little bit more loud about it, I guess is a good way to put it. But yeah, I still feel like it was nice. And like I said, I want to kind of start organizing the next 2 or 3 charity events that I'm going to be doing for the rest of the year as well.
I actually have a super pertinent question then.
Okay.
Just a quick one. Because like obviously the times that we're in, stress can be like all over the place.
Mhm.
What do you do to like unwind? What do you do when you're not streaming? What do you do when you're just
So
relaxed?
outside of streaming, I've started trying to read a lot more because I used to love reading, and I found that in the last few years I haven't had the same focus that I used to have, and I have now encountered the wonders of WhisperSync, so I can read on my Kindle and then listen to the rest of the audiobook, and it keeps it synced between the two, which is great because I now have a book that I've had since 2013 that I haven't read, and I'm slowly working my way through it. I'm very slow, but I'm getting there, and that's been really nice. And I've sort of tried to because I'm very prone to stress and anxiety, so I've been trying to come up with a routine that I feel works really well for me, like be it getting away from my PC as soon as I'm finished with streaming and going out for a walk, and then maybe having a bubble bath or whatever, something to kind of like, I guess, take my mind out of the moment and do something completely different. And it's been working for me because it's only been like the last month or so that I've been actually trying to get that routine in place. But it's been helping a lot because I feel like I had this really bad tendency to just get up, finish work, sit down on my sofa, and then like not move for the rest of the evening. And I didn't do anything of substance, and I found that really not helpful with stress. So this has definitely been a big change for me. And it's just little things that have changed in my routine that I feel have kind of made a positive impact. And I'm going to keep trying.
Some healthy lessons. Lessons. As always, we finish with quickfire questions. Now, Kirsty, you've done the quickfire questions before. I've done the quickfire questions before. Because we had a moment where we were guestless. So I think we can all see where this is coming. Mia, it's your turn. It's your turn to do the quickfire questions.
I was wondering how this was going to work, and I may not have read the script, but shoot then. Go ahead, shoot.
Okay, cool. I'm putting some laws in place. You can't say Final Fantasy, and you can't say Genshin.
Oh, that's easy. That's fine.
I know you got bored with Genshin anyway, but yeah, not doing Final Fantasy. Any of them.
I'm gonna remove the questions from my site too, so I don't, because like, yeah. Because
What's been your favorite game this year?
Oh geez, this is hard. Oh my god. Oh, is this what this feels like? Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I'm panicking. Oh, I can't say Final Fantasy.
You can't say Final Fantasy.
I can't even remember what I've played other than Final Fantasy this year. Oh Jesus Christ! What came out this year? It literally has been Final Fantasy 14 this year. I can't really say anything else because like that's
literally it.
That's literally my favorite game this year.
Most memorable game from your childhood?
Oh, that would probably be Super Smash Brothers Melee or Pokemon. One of the two.
Nice. Who's your favorite video game character?
Link from The Legend of Zelda.
Cute.
Not much of a character there, but it's like a self-insert, so it counts.
Yeah. What game do you most want a sequel to?
Oh, bloody hell. Again, I didn't prepare for these. What do I want a sequel to? I want the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake to come out faster than it is. So that's that. I would say that.
I see the lore of Final Fantasy has been completely ignored. Who would be your...
Oh, something else. No, something else. I can't say Metroid because there's a new Metroid game coming out. God damn it. You know what? I will take another Mario Odyssey.
Who would be your dream stream guest?
You, Robin.
No. Every fortnight, we're already here.
I would love to have Shigeru Miyamoto on my stream.
Cool.
What would you talk about?
Just how cool he is in games development in general, I guess. And I probably wouldn't be able to talk. I'd just be there going.
What game are you most looking forward to coming out?
Oh, Breath of the Wild 2, because I can't say Endwalker.
And you're going to love the next question. If you were marooned on an island, what 3 games would you want to have with you? And it's a high-tech island.
Final Fantasy 14. Come on. That's literally like so much gameplay in there. Oh Lord, yeah, this is difficult though. Yeah, Final Fantasy 14. I'm gonna have to say Final Fantasy 14. One of the Legend. Oh, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to say the Legend of Zelda GameCube collector's disc that had like Zelda
Nice.
1, 2, and like a bunch of others on there. Yeah, and then other than that, probably I would take something social like Among Us.
Yes, because it's a really high-tech island that has chat function, but you're not allowed to ask for help.
Well,
which game
they
is
say I'm the imposter, and then it's pretty sus. So.
which game has the best soundtrack?
For fuck's sake.
No.
Nobuo Uematsu and Yoshi P are freaking gods, and if I don't say Final Fantasy, it's okay. If I that's the only answer though. Final Fantasy has the best soundtrack. Like I can't say which game. Like all the games, like as a series, that there's like those. I don't think you understand those. That music makes me cry. It's so good. Like
someone said Chrono Trigger.
I never played Chrono Trigger. Sorry.
Okay, well there you go.
It has some good music. I've listened to it. But I've never played it. So
Nier as well has been suggested in chat.
I've not played that either.
Oh my god, really?
This is going well.
I tried to play Replicant and I didn't feel it. Like, I don't know.
I loved Automata, but anyway.
I haven't played Automata, so I should.
It was good.
And lastly, the best question of them all, because we all know the answer, but where can people find your content? And what have you got coming up on the channel?
I feel like this shouldn't be for me. I feel like this should be for Kirsty, but I'll say it
Yeah,
anyway.
go on. We can both do this one, actually. You can both do this one.
Okay. Well, you can find my content over at twitch.tv/Meabyte. I play a lot of Final Fantasy 14. So there's going to be a lot of that. I got to finish off 12 minutes. There are so many games that I've been putting off to play. Obviously, Metroid Dread's coming out next week, and that's going to be fantastic. So we're going to be, well, hopefully that'll be fantastic, but I'm a massive Metroid fan, so let's hopefully that'll be good. Actually, Metroid has some really good music. And so does The Legend of Zelda. Yeah. But yeah, you can find that over at twitch.tv/Meabyte. Meabyte. You can find me at twitter.com/themeabyte. And I'm also on TikTok, which I've been really trying to push for. Support me on Coffee and Patreon and help me diversify my income. But yeah. Kirsty.
So you can find me on twitch.tv/Psyche. I stream Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at noon UK time. And I'm on Twitter as Psyche Plays. And I'm actually on most things as Psyche Plays, except TikTok, where I'm Psyche Twitch because someone took Psyche Plays, and I'm very upset about it. Which I don't post a lot on there, but I did post one video of Subnautica Below Zero that did very well. So I'm like hopeful that that'll happen again sometime. Other than that, yeah, I'm going to be streaming KeyWe tomorrow, which is Tuesday, the 31st of August. I know my dates. And I'm also going to be playing a couple of actually, I'm going to be playing Undertale for the first time ever next week.
Ooh, nice.
I've never played it. I know nothing about it except that you don't have to kill anybody and that there's a really jazzy looking skeleton in it. Oh, and that its fan base is incredibly passionate. That's all I know. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I'm going to be doing that for the first time next week.
Has some great music too.
I've heard that it has great music. I haven't listened to any of it. So I'm very excited for a pure raw experience of that game. So it's going to be cool.
Awesome.
That's pretty much me.
Well, thank you, Kirsty, for joining us again today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you back. Thank you also to Bridie, who was on the show earlier from Sold Out Games. Have a fantastic stream tomorrow with KeyWe. You are the last ever thing that's happening for DigiPride, so you're closing it out.
Exciting.
You're closing the show.
You're also the last guest on here for God knows how long. So
if I had known that, I would have been very intimidated, but I didn't know that until halfway through the show, so I didn't have time to be intimidated.
Well, as always, it's been absolutely fantastic having you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're always welcome back.
Yeah.
So,
and I will gladly come back anytime you'll have me. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this episode of the Gaming Podcast Live. And thank you for joining us on this whole series. As we just mentioned, this is the last episode for a while, and I'm getting really sad and emotional about it. When are we back? When are we back?
Yeah,
when
don't worry.
Back, Robin?
We will be back in December with a Gaming Podcast Live Christmas special, followed by a Gaming Podcast Live nominees special for the Gaming Awards 2022, which will take place in January. So it's going to be 2 special episodes that will happen over the winter. So one in just before Christmas and then one early in January with some really big, exciting news. Following that, there'll be a second series. Of course, there'll be a second series around the corner. I think it's fair to say that we just need a couple of months off just to reset ourselves. But as I said to you earlier, do not fear. Gaming is not going anywhere. It's getting bigger and better by the second. And there's there are 3 announcements that are coming out between now and the middle of August that will literally change everything.
Oh,
Exciting.
Oh, that is very
I'm
exciting.
pulling out a little Marvel moment there.
Oh my god. Yeah, we'll be back
some
in a
super
new
big
form
happening.
with the Gaming Podcast live in December.
Absolutely, for a Christmas special. If you want to listen to any of these episodes back, the Gaming Podcast Live is available on all good podcast platforms.
And if you're listening and you want to watch these recordings live, well, you gotta wait a long time. You gotta wait till December. But you can head over to Gaming Magazine's YouTube channel if you want to catch up on those and see our lovely faces. Catch up on the series there. But in the meantime, until we see you again, don't forget to keep reading Gaming Magazine. Bye, everybody.
Absolutely.
Love you.
Take care. See you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.